my little gal. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm now calling the Public Improvements and Beautification Committee meeting to order. It is Tuesday, October 3rd, and the time is 2:08 p.m. Councilors, have you had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes, I motion for approval.
And I will second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes from the September 5th meeting have passed. Next, we will move on to the agenda, which is a right-of-way encroachment license agreement. Mr. Dunn? Hey. Good afternoon.
Really nice chairs.
No, just sit down. We don't bite.
Learning something new here.
This is a right-of-way use agreement between the City of Birmingham and Reed's Uniform LLC regarding the proposed installation of one canopy. The canopy will project from the exterior of the building located at 608 23rd Street South. And we have Mr. Jeff
Thomas.
here.
Okay, Mr. Thomas. Is there any additional information we need to know?
I don't think so. We submitted some drawings, just aluminum,
Yeah.
kind of sunshade on them,
Okay.
over the right of way, but not over the sidewalk.
Over the right of way and not the
But not
sidewalk.
over the sidewalk, or barely.
Okay, committee members, do you have any questions?
I will see it first. You found the picture first,
Should be toward the end.
Okay, all I see is this, what's it gonna look like? Do y'all have a drawing of what it's gonna look like?
Yes, ma'am. It should have been included with the package.
You have to see the site plan and details.
Was it this?
Yes.
About a 7 or 8 inch deep member. It's gonna be black, and it's gonna have outrigger bars, so it's gonna hang in from above, kind of like industrial style looking awning.
Here it is.
So-
There it is.
Got it.
It's, the front that looks like a table is gonna be over a walkway.
But it's all gonna have the hanging rods. It's not gonna have anything going down. I think it's just a generic picture of it. So not just overhead rods.
Okay, so here's how it attaches to the wall,
Yeah.
and that's what it looks like when it's, if you're a bird flying over.
Got you. Got you. Okay. I move for approval.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Item number 1 passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next is a vacation of right of way. Hey.
Good afternoon, my name is Roger Glow and I serve as the subdivision planner for the city of Birmingham. And item number 2 is subdivision case 2023, case number 58, which is a request for favorable recommendation regarding the vacation of 32,000 500 square feet of right-of-way, and a request for approval of a final plat combining the vacated right-of-way and 24 lots into 2 lots called the 2900 Avenue B resurvey. We do have Mark Clark here from Shoal Engineering.
Hey, good. Is there anything else we need to know? Any additional information?
No.
Okay. All right, committee members, do you have any questions?
So this, go ahead.
You don't know.
Well,
That's what happened.
the rights of way lead to what?
Train tracks, yes, there's just,
So you don't go anywhere?
it doesn't go
because-
anywhere.
Unless you wanted to drive into a train.
Into a train, that's correct.
Okay. I understand now.
Yeah, Councilman, you had a question.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand the same thing. That's pretty much what I was, so what would you be doing with the land?
Well, it's currently unimproved now. It's basically fenced in and not being used.
So what would you, I guess,
Well, they're using the yard with, as the current use. The land itself is really incorporated in that now. Like I said, it's all fenced in. So the right of way is unimproved. There's nothing there.
So they're just making legal what they've been doing all along? You know, using the property,
Yes.
even though it didn't belong,
gotcha.
and we got paid.
Cool. Always good. I move for approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item number 2 passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is item number 3, a request for review of property.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good.
My name is Michael Glover. I serve as Chief Condemnation Demolition Coordinator. Item 3, a request for a Public Improvement Committee to review property that has 0 voided repair permits, 3100 Park Avenue Southwest on September 22nd, 2023. Aquinoham, Israel, 100 Rayfield Drive, Southwest, Bessemer, Alabama, 35022. Submitting the application for a special repair permit. This property was condemned by City Council on July 18, 2023.
Okay, thank you. Can you say your name again?
Aquino
Aquino.
Israel, yes.
Okay, gotcha. I see you submitted this to us, but can you just verbally tell us your plans for the property?
Yes, ma'am. I actually own a vegan cafe in Bessemer. And it's a holistic center, vegan cafe, also a meal prep. And so I work with the Bessemer Farmers Market also. So I have the idea of actually taking this property and making it a open market. Yeah, farmers market, yes ma'am. So maybe just keeping it open, you know, because the roof is not there.
Yeah.
And adding some solar panels, and then the floor is pretty much not there also. Because as you see, we had trees growing out of the property also. So we're gonna make it something that's kind of what I think the community would love to have. You know? We've already had feedback since we've been cleaning up from the community about the fact that it's something that's needed to be done, of course.
Yeah.
And just the idea that we floated around with it was something that people started to communicate to us that they really liked. So.
Okay, and you're saying you'll get this done, what's your projected timeline?
90 days.
Ooh, 90 days, okay. Okay.
That's a start.
Well, ambitious. Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions?
Oh, yes. Does this building have structural integrity so it can be saved without falling down?
Not that we know of. I've actually condemn that structure from what I could see. We couldn't get in it because, as you can see how grown it is, so I can't say it is or it isn't.
Yeah, now if you look at the pictures, we've cleaned up significantly.
Oh, I see the guy with the chainsaw. Well, is that the interior of the building, or is that a courtyard?
Well, it will be a courtyard. You see my vision already.
But like, there used to be a roof over this. and
Yes, it
that's-
did, yes, ma'am. But it will be
Well,
a
back to the
courtyard.
structural integrity of the remaining walls. Do they have structural integrity?
Yes, they do. We had we don't have, we do have an engineer scheduled to come out and everything, so. But once we started to take down the trees, the building, the walls have still remained, so.
Well, I mean, they might remain standing for maybe a while, but I'm just concerned that one good push, this place looks pretty sad. So, is this going to be conditioned space when you finish, or is it just going to be a place for people to put fruits and vegetables and things out?
Yes, a place for people to put fruits and vegetables.
So you're going to put a roof on it?
Maybe, we've looked at a couple ways to do it, but at this point, no roof.
Just the wall?
Yes, ma'am. We can secure the building without the walls, but we'll put some rafters up there, so it's a way to be done, so yes, ma'am. I just don't have the drawings, but I've talked to people to do that. It's gonna be unique. It's gonna be
I'm
different.
sure it will be. I just want it to be safe, where it
Yes,
doesn't,
ma'am.
fall over on anybody.
Yes.
I spent just enough time in architecture school to question whether this place looks like it's going to remain standing, but if the city thinks it's going to remain standing, then,
I didn't say that.
well, now, I thought that the city looked at these structures that people wanted to rehab to make sure that they were rehabable before you came to us. Is
No.
that not?
No, ma'am. The way we look at it is, it's up to the owner or contractor to do that. That's not, if they want to put that amount of money, whatever it takes to do that, they have that you guys give them that option.
Okay, so does
But we
this,
don't say yes
does
or no.
this require a certificate of occupancy when it's finished?
Well, we're here now.
A certificate of occupancy is not granted by the city council.
Correct. But
So
we're here-
PEP, I think, does that.
Yes, but that's what we're here to see what Ms. Israel plans to do.
Yeah,
So
and
if
I'm
she's
just
planning
worried
that-
about it. So tell me how this is going to be transformed from this into something safe and usable.
Okay, now, do you want like the 1, 2, 3?
Well, okay, right now you've got some walls.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you've got,
Right.
walls. And you've got some plants, but I think they're probably plants you don't want. So when you're finished, will the structure be safe if it was, if somebody bumped it with their truck because they couldn't park very well or something? I
Right.
mean, you don't want the whole thing to fall over on
Right.
the people and their fruits and vegetables. So, I'm just wanting to know if you've had somebody evaluate what's left of the structure to be certain that it's savable.
Right. Well, we are in the process of doing that. So now, I came into the property in late August. So we're in the process, it had already been condemned. So we're in the process. We just do not want it to be demolished. So we're in the process of doing
Okay,
that. So we're actually just coming up with a plan, but.
Okay, so what you're saying is, you just got the property, you think you can save it. You're
Yes,
gonna
ma'am.
have some professionals come in if we give you a permit. Then you're
Yes.
gonna go with the professionals and let them figure out whether it's
Yes,
stable enough to use.
that's right.
Okay.
That's correct, yes, because the whole point, we're trying to establish it. If not, then, we'll
Yeah, so
come
if
back to
your
you all. and tell you
engineer
all.
tells you it might fall over, then you might go in a different direction.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
We don't have that kind of money.
Yeah,
So,
Councilman, yeah.
no, so I was just gonna say, I'm looking at the space and, one of the first things that it reminded me of when I looked at it is the garage. I don't know how many people are familiar with the restaurant, the garage, where you can go and get sandwiches and stuff. I don't know, is that it's
It's in my district.
it's in your, yeah, so like,
So it's called the garage?
yes, call the garage.
Garages.
And so it looks like an abandoned spot, but they have some of the best sandwiches there, and they also have an open air,
Really?
yeah, space. And so I would encourage you to go and, check that out and just look at it. But I think it would be a cool idea to be able to have a space where you could, have a farmer's market and, be able to sell holistic. Yeah. So, and I know we've seen several other properties that have come before us that look, just as bad, if not worse, than this. And so, to my understanding, Miss Israel would have a certain amount of time that she would have to, come back and check in to say, hey, yay or nay, whether or not, progress is moving forward as the city deems necessary, correct?
Absolutely.
So yeah, hopefully, as you are navigating this project, you are able to show some progress
Right.
in that time frame. So
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess my request is if you come to us 6 months from now and just kind of tell us the progress, show us some pictures.
Okay.
I'm very curious.
So you're gonna give me 6 months then, at least?
Well, once we approve it, unless you don't do your job, and usually the mayor's office, PEP, kind of takes over after whether we approve or not. But I would just like to see it, what resources do you have to be able to make this happen?
Do you want me to, well, I have personal resources, you're talking about financial or?
All of the above. Do you have partnerships that are gonna help you out? How are you gonna get the farmers?
Yes, I have some farmers in my hand. I do have some financial institutes that's gonna help me out, so, yes ma'am. So-
Do you have I wouldn't call it a landscaping company, do you have any what kind of professional help are you getting?
I do have a landscaper, and like I said, because I already have a company, I kind of use some of the resources that I already have,
Gotcha.
so. But, if you recommend some people, I'll be happy to take I'm open to that,
Well, I probably can't tell you right now, but.
Okay, yes. Well, like I said, I'm trying to expand my business reach for me, being an investment for 7 years operating and everything. So this would be an opportunity for me to get in Birmingham.
Yeah, well, welcome to Birmingham then. Yes, ma'am. Okay, committee members, do you have any other questions?
Just one.
Yes, ma'am.
This area that the tree was growing out of, is that the floor of the building?
Yes.
So what is the floor made out of? Is it concrete or?
Well, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what it was made of. Now,
Is it just gone? I mean, is it just, just gone?
Yeah, pretty much, Now, I'll just tell you like this. I can get all the information that I need about the building because it's a family member that owned it. So the opportunity that they gave us was something that we couldn't resist, being that they had other property and they to go by the wayside, and then they just saw the opportunity for us to come in and try to expand our business with it, so. But yes, I'm getting more information about the building itself, because again, I do run another business, so I've been occupied with that. But then again, when this dropped into my lap, I had to learn a lot about how to come before you all and everything, and so this is all new for me. So, but I'm here.
Okay, you're here.
Yes, and I'm, believe me, I take it very serious, and I do have a crew that I'm working with and everything,
And
so.
you have a good engineer.
I think so, yes ma'am,
Okay.
I mean, again, I'll take names.
Yeah, I'm not worried for me, I'm worried for you.
Yes.
I just hate to see things fall on people.
Oh, no, I don't want that, my insurance will be through the roof.
And,
No pun intended.
there's one photograph in here, and it looks, either something fell over or they're supporting the wall of the building with this prop. And I don't know which it is, son, but, that just, kind of raises some questions. But I'm going to go along, because she's got a good engineer.
Right. And I think I'm sorry.
You go.
I was about to say, and properties have to be inspected before they would be able to, be opened up anyway. And so, before anybody became in danger of having something to fall on top of them, like we would be able to.
Except the people looking at it.
It's the risk you take. But yeah, so.
Yeah, because we want to see you in 6 months, can you give us a reoccurring 30-day progress update to the committee? Yeah.
All right. So in 30 days, come back?
Well, you can just send in a report to maybe Mr. Glover, and then
Okay, all right,
he can send it to us.
all right.
Yeah. And good luck.
Thank you so much.
Well, I move that we approve this
I second.
and send it on.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 3 passes. We'll see you in 6 months.
Thank you all so much, I appreciate it.
Yes. We'll probably do item 4 last, just because that's probably going to be the longest one. So let's do items 5, 6, and 7 with Mr. Jackson. Oh, you just up there.
Oh, yeah, he's taking his back.
I thought you already had it signed up.
We do. We change it. We put something better.
Put something better.
Put that. I think you'll like this better.
Hey.
Mal Jackson, Chief Land Acquisition Agent for the City of Birmingham. Item number 5 is a request for approval of a right-of-way encroachment license agreement between the City of Birmingham and Otto Realty doing business as Jazzy's on 3rd regarding the proposed installation of one illuminated double-faced sign. The sign will extend 23 1/4 inches from the exterior of the building and encroach into the right-of-way of 3rd Avenue North. Jazz on 3rd is a venue located at 1725 3rd Avenue North. Lucian Blankenship is here to,
Actually, we should, currently have a sign, but we're improving it. We wanted something to fit into the theater district to kind of go with the background of like the Alabama Theater and the Lyric Theater, so we're changing it and we're adding this one right here.
Oh, that's cute.
Does it light up?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Committee members, do you have any questions? Councilor Abbott?
I'm just looking for the picture of where it's on the building.
Here's what I got.
No, it's in,
It's like second to last, maybe,
Right
the
there.
second to last. I got it.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
or something like that.
His picture looks a little better than the one I,
It's in color.
camera makes better color picture.
So,
Oh, yeah. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah, that'll be
that's
nice.
the one on the building.
And you can see the Alabama sign in the distance.
Oh.
I move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item number 5 passes. We're so late. Item number 6.
Thank you.
This is for the Powell Avenue steam plant. Item 6 is the approval of right-of-way encroachment agreement between the City of Birmingham, Powell Avenue Steam Plant Company, and Alabama Power Company. The Powell Avenue Steam Plant Company has a ground lease with Alabama Power to develop what is known as the Powell Steam Plant Building. They're going to construct extensive improvements which will include concrete curb and gutter, stormwater pipe system, grease traps, lift station, and they're going to install shoring, trench boxes, sample wells, pump station, overhead louver doors, a landing ramp, light poles, brick pavers, and water lines. Also, they're going to remove the subsurface communication lines, remove the existing light poles that are encroaching in the right-of-way of 19th Street for a building located at 1830 Powell Avenue South. The Powell Avenue Steam Plant Company has an agreement with Alabama Power Company to make extensive improvements and to develop this property. The representatives are not here, but they have a deed of improvement that was issued to them by the Alabama Power Company to improve the property. And as you can see by the number of items, this is an extensive improvement to that property.
Okay, why aren't they here today? You don't know?
The person that I had been speaking with was out of town, and he's not here today, but it's up to you if you want to. That's the only thing, when I spoke with him, he was out of town, he couldn't make this particular meeting.
Okay, because these are a lot of extensive improvements they're doing to this area. But it's the will of the committee. I would love to talk to a person to learn more about what's going on.
I would as well.
Yeah, because I want to ask questions.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the next meeting, is that good for you? Okay.
Well, I can tell them to make sure that they're here for the next meeting.
Okay, all right, is there a motion?
Motion to
Delay 1 month.
Motion to delay?
1 month.
1 month.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll see this item next month. And then you have a warranty deed, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
So should we keep these or give them back to you, because we might
Keep them.
use.
Oh, keep it? Okay.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we can say.
I think we better give them back to you.
It's a lot of paper.
I know you.
Yeah.
You can start anything.
Is that? You need.
Thank you. So this is a warranty deed for proposed conveyance of property from the city to L. Williams and Associates. The new owner has plans to develop the property with rooftop access, a fire escape, and a fire escape. Okay. Can you guys say your name and give your address?
For the building?
No, your name.
Okay, Lavoris Williams,
And who are you with?
Williams and Associates, I'm the owner
Okay. What's your address of the business?
of the business that we're trying to take now.
Your current address?
404 15th Street North.
Okay.
My name is Joseph Abujode, I'm an architect.
Okay. All right. Mr. Jackson, is there anything we need to know?
The abutting adjacent property was initially conveyed to them,
Okay.
and they needed this additional property for, like I said, rooftop access and for safety reasons. And the architect is here to explain the necessary need for it.
Well, the architect is not prepared because I learned about this meeting yesterday, but hopefully we can develop something. It depends what we get today. The building is long, and it's about 7,000 square feet. Practice only needs about 4,000, I would say. So the back would be kind of maybe future offices if somebody wants to rent it or whatever. And, you know, if it's in the back, then you need the entrance, so that would be good entrance on this side where it's facing the parking. And also from that same spot, we can, for her practice, she can have a rooftop for her patient to, I guess, relax and some treatment, open air. That's kind of the idea behind it. But it's not yet developed graphically, but, you know, I can show you that where the building is in relation to. That's a sidewalk and that's Fifth Avenue, I guess, that's the entrance here, and that's that building there. And that's that property right next to it, and this is the parking here. That's kind of graphically showing, you know, the picture tenant would be in the back, which would be blocking the front.
Yeah.
We can create an entrance for it here,
Yeah.
and then maybe have an access to the roof.
It's an overhead connection.
Okay. Yeah, we pulled it up. Okay. All right, committee members, do you have any questions?
I guess I'm confused about what we're doing. We're granting a warranty, dude?
Yeah.
They had previously purchased the property that's adjacent to it, but then this was omitted from the conveyance originally, and it was just determined that they needed this, just a little small 20-foot strip of land.
It says,
So is it like vacation of an alley or?
No, it's conveyance, it's not an alley, it's conveyance of property to them. You see
it is
you see that?
I don't know if you're familiar with the parking, there's a parking here,
Yeah,
city parking.
yeah, I know where the location is.
Okay.
Is that
This is a narrow strip, the 12 feet wide.
It's that. They already own Lot 1B, and that 20-foot strip is being conveyed to them.
And lot 1A is the parking?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a parking.
It was omitted from the original conveyance. It was should have been done when it was conveyed to them originally, but it was omitted. It was
Just
from the
an
legal
accident.
description. It's an accident.
Yeah, I just didn't know that PIC did warranty deeds. I thought
I
the
didn't
law
either.
department, but I guess
But the law department,
we're approving doing it, and then the law department will actually do it.
well, this would be a joint conveyance between the law department and PEP.
And what's the progress?
Economic development. They paid, what, $250,000 initially for the property.
Oh, so what you're saying is, this was supposed to have been in the purchase, and somehow it got accidentally left out, the city didn't keep it because they thought somebody would want to park on it or something?
No, I mean, it was in, they had a property surveyed, and they had a lot and block subdivision, but this required a meets and bounds legal description, which you can see on the warranty deed. The law department did not include the meets and bounds legal description.
So it was just an accident?
Yes, an omission.
Okay. I'm still a little confused about why we're dealing with the warranty deed, but it's cool. Well, do you have any questions?
I motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That item passes. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll jump back to item number 4.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
And item number 4 is a request for the PIC to review a street renaming. Y'all can come up. I don't know who's here for all this. A street renaming request. The request is to have 5th Avenue North between 14th Street and 24th Street renamed to honor Dr. A.G. Gaston. And this request was submitted by the Office of Counselor Darrell O'Quinn on behalf of the Gaston family. Hey. Yeah. Hey, good afternoon. Okay, so I don't know if we let you start off or.
Sure, yeah, I can. And I don't know that I've met these ladies, but my name is James Fowler. I serve as the city traffic engineer and director of the city's Department of Transportation. And so even though we haven't formally met, I do understand that there's been an organized effort to permanently rename a section of 5th Avenue North in honor of A.G. Gaston. And so I was forwarded the packet that I believe was submitted, and it had some petitions and some background information on that. And so I was asked to show up today, I think, to give a little bit of information about what a process might look like to permanently rename the street. And so I guess I can go into my thoughts on that, or do you guys have any?
Actually, let's let the applicant speak. So, and can you introduce yourself? We know who you are, but for the record.
My name is Creola Gaston Lucas.
And I'm Rochelle Malone.
Okay.
We are granddaughters of Dr. A.G. Gaston. The request actually was formally submitted by my aunt Creola in
2019, yes.
2019.
A long time.
And honorary street signs were placed adjacent to the A.G. Gaston building and hotel. And we appreciated that honor. However, that was not our request. We wanted the actual street to be renamed, just as other streets have been named after other iconic individuals in the city of Birmingham, because of the efforts and the that our grandfather put forth in bringing about a change, economic change in the African American community here in Birmingham, being a iconic influence during the civil rights movement, providing hotel stays and things of that nature, bailing out Dr. King during his jail stays. He has bailed out several businesses within that area to keep them afloat. One being the Alabama Theater, making sure that they stay out of bankruptcy. Several businesses along Fifth Avenue itself, a lot of that property he owned and people acquired because of him. So that's one of the reasons behind not just having a one street, but we feel that there should be a pathway that people can drive down and be and commemorate his memory of who he was and who he stood for African Americans, for the city of Birmingham, for the state of Alabama, and for this country. A lot of what comes together and happens now happens because of what he put in place. So we're here in an effort to try to culminate these requests and bring them to fruition and manifestation.
Actually, I see Alice Williams. We'll probably get you to come up and kind of talk about the neighborhood meeting and the votes that occurred there. So, but Mr. Fowler, I guess we get Mr. Fowler, you'll go first.
Sure, yeah, I can dive in. A couple of things. One, I think sometimes it gets implied or assumed that our department is just completely opposed to a permanent street renaming, and that's not necessarily the request. Obviously, when a street gets permanently renamed, there is a cost and to some degree a disruption that goes with that. And so I think out of necessity, there's a high bar for when a street needs to be permanently renamed. And so I think if it's ultimately up to the council and mayor to kind of decide if they want to pursue that. So to that end, the city council laid out a process for doing the honorary renamings, and that in itself is already a pretty high bar. It's a kind of a complicated process to get through to do the temporary renamings, and then that ordinance is really silent on what a process would be for a permanent renaming. There is a well-written section in the beginning of the ordinance that describes some of the kind of potential disruption that would come with it, but it doesn't really describe a process for permanently renaming. And so I've tried to think through, what would or should that process look like if the council wishes to move forward. And so I think it would start by a formal request from the council, or maybe from this committee, to the administration to investigate the feasibility of what a permanent renaming would look like. And so then it would be up to the mayor's office to determine if we want to, I guess, pursue that feasibility study to do that. So what might be included in that would be checking with the Postmaster General. So I've already reached out to him to ask some initial questions, and he's supposed to call me back, but just confirming that the post office is good with changing all the addresses. That's part of it. But then also understanding or putting together what would be a good vetting process. So maybe recommending what a good vetting process would be. My understanding from looking at the packets is that we've already garnered a pretty good bit of support from people that appear to live on and around the corridor. And I think Alice is going to talk about some of the neighborhood committee discussions. But understanding what that process looks like and maybe what it could be. And then also coming up with like a specific signage plan for what would be entailed, like where would the signs need to go and what would a typical sign look like. And then putting to that an implementation plan, which would include a schedule, a proposed schedule for how a transition would look, and then also a budget if there is a cost to that, what that budget would be, and then a communications plan. So I think all of that would be included in maybe a feasibility investigation that comes back and gets reported back to the mayor's office to then share with the council. So I think to sum all that up, a request from either this committee or the full council to do that feasibility study and bring that information back for full consideration.
So let me ask this, is this for just this street or just all streets?
I think, well, I put those thoughts together in reference to this street, but I think the process would be similar for any other street.
Gotcha, yeah.
And just one other note, I think since this ordinance was put together for the honorary renamings, a lot of the requests for permanent renamings have probably quieted a good bit. And so this doesn't really come up that often for a permanent renaming.
Well, we put a moratorium.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't, but
Okay.
previous council put a moratorium on permanent street renaming because they were renaming it all of the time in every street, so.
So that was the gist of, and thanks James for that presentation, but yeah, that was the gist behind the actual updating of the ordinance to not say we're going to stop renaming, but we're going to slow it down because it was very high volume that we were doing a lot of. And so we try to lean towards the honorary or the dedication part of the street. Dedication, which is much simpler, but then we also include that caveat that it's only one per quadrennium per council. So I think we were really trying to affect that for the street renaming process also. So if a council member wanted to live up a street renaming, that would be that respective council's request. And to Mr. Fowler's point, when we try to rename, is that causes a lot of disruption, as you noted, but it also affects a lot of businesses having to change letterheads, changing business cards. So that's not a cost that's upon the city, but it does affect a lot of businesses on that said renaming of the street. So we're not trying to say we're against it, we're just trying to like let the council know, let the committee know that it's more than just a renaming, it affects a lot of things. That's why we're trying to slow it down.
Okay, that's understandable. Alice, do you want to hear from everybody, or do you want to?
Alice Williams, Deputy Director of Community Resource Services. And I just want to add, when we did put an alternate, kind of limited, we also required that the residents that will be affected along the route be the ones to sign that petition, because it has to be those people that will be affected immediately by it. So from my understanding, the item was brought before the Neighborhood Association, and we normally receive something from the city advising us on how we're proceeding on that. So we would need to know what's happening. So I don't know how it came before Fountain Heights and Central City. So we normally get something from the city of Birmingham, so we have a signed document that we send back with the neighborhood's approval or non-approval. So I think in one case, one of the neighborhoods, Central City voted no, Fountain Heights voted yes, but they still didn't have a description of what was going to be required of them in that. So that's going to have to come back before the neighborhood, because otherwise you got one that voted no, but it wasn't properly before them. So, and I wasn't aware of who submitted the documents, but we normally get something from, PEP or somewhere saying we have a document that needs to be signed by the officers and submitted back to us. So it was informally before them, but again, in the past, they require a petition of those folks that are going to be affected by those name changes.
And just to clarify, and you're referencing the process that we normally go through for an honorary renaming.
Yeah, and that was even prior, before we stopped doing the street.
Full.
So.
It just depends on how long the rename of the street will go, how it affects people in that district.
I think the proposed length is from 14th Street to 24th Street.
Yeah, so that affects a lot of business. And I know a lot of the street renaming we have done in the past have been most residential. So, I mean, if you just look at at least from 17th Street to 24th, you're talking to the regions of the world, Chick-fil-A, everybody, the Hugo Black Building, Birmingham Parking Authority, like those are just small businesses that sit on that stretch of road.
So when did, Chaz, you may not have been here neither, Alice, when did we change those longer streets like Richard Arrington and
So
Abraham
the last
Woods?
one we did was Woods. And,
When was that?
Larry Langford's term.
Right, and that was kind of the reason behind it. I hate to say a lot of stuff on tape. It's because of former Mayor Larry Langford and Richard Scrooge was one of the reasons why we kind of halted on a lot of the renaming projects.
Okay. Sorry, I just asked for the Yes, sir.
In those street renamings, is there not an ordinance of a process like you have for the honorary that was in place that you followed in naming those streets?
Not in those streets, because that was way before a lot of the people around this table, except the council ad, but you probably. And I know I was here too, but I wasn't part of that process.
Neither one of us were here for the Richard.
No, we were here for Woods.
But I was here for Woods, and I know how it happened, but I don't want to be on tape either.
Yeah. And I think it's just the whole thing, as Mr. Fowler noticed, is we're trying to develop a process to get the yes and try to make sure that things are done right. The coordination with the Postmaster General is probably the biggest one of all, just in getting the businesses that are affected to, sign off on it. That's why I think the original purpose of the ordinance was to get a lot of people to say, okay, I'm okay with this, because I know that cost will be on me as a business owner, not as the city's financial responsibility.
Okay. Well, Council Moore, do you have some questions for him?
When I was just gonna ask the question about, when was, the Richard Arrington, the Reverend Abraham Woods, street renamed, but you kind of answered that for me, right?
Was it 2009?
Woods?
I feel like it's right before 10.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember
Let's say
the
09.
process.
09,
We'll just say
10.
09, it's
You
fine.
wave your arms and say, do it process.
Okay, let's say
And
09.
those are all permanent and not honorary.
Those are permanent.
Those are permanent. Got
And
you.
they caused a lot of trouble.
And that was right when the Social Security bill was just opened. And then they had to change all their legs to everyone that lose.
How long would, and I'm just asking this just for my own knowledge, if a street was to be renamed for honorary purposes, how long does that stay in place?
5 years.
Yeah, I think that the
Ordinance says 5 years.
5 years? Okay. Because I know that there are streets that, have been renamed for, different neighborhood officers or different people in the community.
The dedications are the ones, see, I guess the confusion is the honorary versus the dedication part of it.
Okay.
So you dedicate a street for somebody that's passed.
Okay.
And you honor a street for somebody that's still living. So we try to stay away from the honorary too, because something could come up for that person. So we went towards more of the street
Dedication. So
Which
that's
is
what this
just
is.
a simple placard that we put at either an intersection or on top of a street.
And that's what they already have.
That's the one that's
Got
already
you.
up there.
Yeah.
Because we did the same for Second Avenue, First Avenue South for baseball with a games.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know about
Yeah,
that.
I think that was before you.
Got you. Okay. I know.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Mr. Warren?
Oh, I almost forgot my thought. We were talking
We'll let you jump back in.
I'll have to think about it.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How is this process that we're asking to name after our grandfather, Dr. H.E. Gaston, we got honoring it already, it is in place. Boulevard, so different from Richard Arrington, which runs from the south side all the way to the north side. And like you said, there's a lot of, I guess, situations involved in doing so. But how different asking this street to be named?
Well, that was Woods they were talking about, but that's why we're asking because, 2009, Richard Arrington, who knows how long ago that was a whole different council, whole different administration, but we haven't done a street that long since, it seems like 09. Because I know my mom did one, but Steve Green Drive, but that was like residential, it's over in Weston Manor, like it's not that long.
That one in,
Yeah, and then like it affects more than Conqueror's Church. Like it was only like one or two businesses.
and Virtual Arrington, they only just one person.
So that's different because it didn't affect that many people. But I don't think they've done it since 09.
And now it's time to do it.
Well, we can't approve it right now, anyways, because of the neighborhood meeting. It wasn't formally done with the minutes, right? The minutes, and then they kind of need to do a feasibility study as well.
my thought came back. So, and what I am inferring from the conversations centered around the previous street naming and the desire to slow things down in that process, and just being a constituent watching news and being on the outside looking in, all of those things seem to be centered around a political environment, those namings. And here we I like to look at the facts and look at the purpose behind this naming. It has nothing to do with any type of political gains, promises to communities. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about honoring someone who paved the way for all of us to be at this table where we are today. Every one of us. Now, I understand the changing of the addresses. That's why I've been canvassing the neighborhood. And when I say neighborhood, I'm speaking of the Fifth Avenue District, the Fourth Avenue District. I've had talks with Hugo Black's grandson personally, and he feels it should have been done while he was still living. The point of a change of some letterhead and business cards was very minimal to him and other colleagues. So it's good conversation, and it's valid points that need to be addressed. But I don't want us to get so caught up, I don't want this process to get so caught up in those resistance that we miss the focus or the purpose of why this is even on the table for the generations behind us that come from this, from what has already been paved in this city for us by this person.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, I just need to just say that.
Yes, I think it's a lot more than businesses. It's like their tax ID form. It's like a lot more than that. But
yeah, and I understand that, you know. And in our talks with the Postmaster General, there seems to be no issue,
Yes,
no issue at all. So, you know, we've got apples and oranges that we're dealing with here.
well, I wasn't quite
And
finished,
so,
but
yeah.
we're saying we have to go through the exact process. Like, nobody's telling you no right now, but, you know, this is a standard process for everybody. So really, it's more of like, we need to get the neighborhood minutes corrected, the feasibility study, and then we'll come back to the table for your request. So it's not a no. We just want to make sure everything is legally done.
Right.
We understand, you know, we thank your grandfather for everything he's done, but we're not saying no. They're just saying they just need to do their part, make sure everything is done. Because there's a difference between what you're asking, which is you already have the dedication, but you want street renaming. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
Nobody's-
we didn't even ask for that dedication. We requested the permit.
That's good.
That was just something that was put in place, I think, for somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
I just, Madam
Councilman?
Chair, yeah, Madam Chair, I just wanted to ask a question. Do we know how many businesses are along that
Part of that
corridor?
feasibility.
Yeah,
That'll be the feasibility, okay.
I mean, I get the Hugo Black building,
Yeah.
you know, that's another level going to a federal agency asking, hey, are you okay with it? And I don't, that's a process that I have no idea about. Because
Yeah.
not only the Hugo Black building, you have the actual courthouse, federal courthouse.
Yeah, I mean, if we can imagine, you know, like in the case of the Social Security building, how much mail they probably receive, you know, part of that disruption is just on the public. Like, there's going to be some undelivered mail in that transition, you know. Does it rise to that level? I think that's a difficult question to answer, so.
How long do you think it would take to do the feasibility study?
I was guessing, you know, maybe 90 days to do that.
Okay, that's fair. And then it shouldn't.
There ain't gonna be a problem, we just need instructions, how to see how we proceed, and what we tell them, they really want them to go on.
Okay.
It's one of the process.
Okay, so 90 days is January, so maybe come before the February PRC meeting to see if we have all of this together, make sure that packet is complete, and then we'll have you guys come back to us.
I did have a question about the address changing itself with, because this was something that was brought up in talking with individuals about when the address changes in MapQuest or things of that nature, how long will, if a person were to put in the previous address, will it bring them to that street name, you know, the changed street? That was something I couldn't answer. I could only go by personal experiences when, you know, I put in an address that might have been on Abraham Woods Drive, and it'll still take me to Abraham Woods Drive. It's not that the client will miss that business because the street has been named, because in that apparatus it was still there.
That's one of those things that we have to really figure out, because a lot of the things that we did before is we never had a map, because we never had Waze, we never had those type of, you know, things of that nature. So it's more than just the Postmaster General, like we have to actually reach out to.
Yeah.
And there's some questions like that one that we may not be able to answer. There's something in that company's data set and algorithm that we may not be able to get them on the phone to tell us, you know, how long they'll keep that background data in there. So, you know, we're going to try to figure out as much as we can. Some of those questions are hard to answer.
Yeah, so.
So a lot of this seems to be brand new. On the course.
We're trying to do it the correct way. Yes, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
A lot of it.
Councilor
This is
Abbott?
good.
Well,
We
I
hope
think
that
the
we
fact of the matter is, we have tried hard not to rename any more streets because it was such a mess. And we did pretty well. We had one. Yeah. So then we had people with strong personalities who came in and ramrodded what they wanted through everywhere for everything. And we got another junior boulevard. So now we have 2 junior boulevards. I was glad that A.G. Gaston was not a junior. But there has to be an end to it. You know, and people can say, well, we'll just do this one more. And then somebody else comes along 5 years later and says, well, we're just going to do this one more. And pretty soon we've got a whole city full of named streets where no one can find anything because there's no number, and there's no north, and there's no south, and there's, you know, it's a difficulty. I would think if we offered, you can either change your street name or you can donate to a foundation that wants to build a statue of Dr. Gaston and put it in the park. You would get a lot of donations from those people on that street who did not want the hassle of having their street renamed, but would love to make a donation in order to keep that from happening to them. You know, I love the idea of a statue for him. I've got his books in my bookcase at home, and he was a great man. But I don't want to see any more named streets because of all the trouble they've caused. And that's just a personal thing, as having been on the council for as long as I have, I've just seen that it's a problem. So I would contribute to a statue of A.G. Gaston in the park before I would vote to rename a street again. And that's just me. I'm just one of 9, and everybody has to make up their own minds. But I remember what happened with the Richard Arrington Jr. There was an enormous outcry. But the council back then didn't much care whether anybody outcried or not. So they did what they wanted. But it caused so many issues and so much trouble for people. It was just an ongoing, you know, it just didn't go away. You just kept on hearing, well, he blankety blank city changed my blankety blank address, and you know, council members get dressed down for things we didn't have anything to do with. So, you know, I just don't want to invite that again.
Well,
but I'd write my check because I admired him. Now, I don't work on that street. I don't own a business, never will. But I would just think that lots of people would rather contribute to some other honor rather than have their street changed. That's just me.
Well, that's another project. We do want a statue, and we want a street naming. So maybe you can contribute to the statue.
well, we're not going to talk about the third contribute right here. Right now. But, okay, why don't
But I don't want to go, I'm not going along with the street renaming. You have to be 81.
Yeah, she's joking now. So what we're going to do is, because you deserve the right for us to go through this process, we're going to let them do the 90-day or so feasibility study. Whenever the next neighborhood meetings are, they'll do it. Alice will make sure everything's done formally. And then hopefully by the February, at the latest March PIC meeting, we'll have you guys come before us and we'll revisit this. So it's just a delay to make sure everything's done correctly. Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
To delay?
I'm sorry.
To delay until the February PIC.
Delay. Motion to delay until.
Is that a request for the administration? Okay, good. Yes.
All right. Well, I can't do that right now.
Alternatively, the item that the committee could consider is a recommendation for the mayor to explore.
Okay.
And y'all move that, then you could formalize it as a resolution to the council, and get it off of your plate.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Because ultimately it's going to be an administrative decision, whether the feasibility study comes back favorable or not.
Okay. So.
I'd like to make a motion for,
well, Chief, Mitchell. Okay.
Let me clarify the feasibility study. Feasibility study is not going to say it is a approved or unapproved. It's a study. It doesn't say that we're moving forward with it or we're denying it. It's just getting all the facts out on the table for the council to make the decision, not the administration. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Well, in the interim, we'll just delay it until the February PIC meeting. That seems like the most simplest thing. Council, I think
I
we
was
made
just
a
wondering
motion.
if that was enough time.
It's, me and James are writing a few notes, so we're gonna try and find someone to help us with the feasibility study.
Okay, if you need until March, just let us know.
Yeah, we
And
will.
we'll communicate to the family as
Do you
well.
have to have a funding source?
Yeah, we'll have that. It's more than like a professional service contract anyway.
Yeah. And we'll make sure if we can keep the family updated, yeah.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, so item number 4 is delayed until the February PIC meeting. Okay, thank you. We don't have any old or new business, so is there a motion for adjournment?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Dave Moore. We'll see you later.